Alright, so today we're going to cover the 4 episodes of the anime Pet Shop of Horrors that, of course, is based on a manga, because literally every single anime is based on a manga. Not a comic book, a manga. They're in black and white, and you read them the opposite direction. They got it all messed up over there in Japan. But this is a really great series, and it really is unfortunate that there were only 4 episodes released, since the manga had 10 volumes with 3 to 4 stories each. So really, they could develop close to 40 stories with this anime, but no, they decided to only give us 4. How dare they? And it's about a sexually ambiguous man by the name of Count D, who runs a pet shop in Chinatown.
In the heart of the city, you will find Chinatown, a mysterious place where rare and valuable commodities are in abundance. Welcome to my pet shop. Tonight, you will find something you desire.
And each episode is a Monster of the Week type scenario. This isn't an anime where you have to watch every single episode in order to understand the story. Pet Shop of Horrors was written and illustrated by Matsuri Akino from 1994 to 1998. And the anime was released in 1999 by Madhouse. We're going to look at the first episode. First episode is called Daughter. The pet we get in this one is a rabbit.
Fool of myself in front of everyone last night. I tell them they're going to see a tiger, and what do they see? A stupid painting.
So, you've just confessed you broke the contract we had.
Hey, listen. There is no contract because there is no tiger. Huh? What the hell? What is this? Some kind of joke?
Joke? It's not a joke. It's what I promised you. It is the last remaining tiger of its kind.
Oh no! No! No!
As you breach the terms of our contract to not show it to anyone under any circumstances, we cannot assume any responsibility for the consequences, I'm afraid.
So that's how the first episode sets it up, letting you know that Count D is a little bit evil, but he's not completely evil. He's just sort of setting you up to fail, which he continually does through this series. But we do have a character, a young hot detective by the name of Leon Orcott, who is right on the trail of Count D. He knows something's going wrong in this pet shop, and he's gonna find out. Well, kind of. He's gonna try to find out.
There's been a string of, shall we say, unusual deaths. And guess what? All the victims were customers of this pet shop. This shop's a cover for drug dealing, white slavery, and arms shipments to any terrorist who's got enough cash on hand.
No, Detective. This is a pet shop. We operate within the strict confines of the law.
Nice try, happy boy. Now where's the owner?
My grandfather owns this establishment. I'm afraid he's out of town.
And already we can see that the dubbing in this is, I think, good for Count D. He comes off sounding kind of like a goth kid from the 80s. Have you heard the new Christian Death album? That song, Romeo's Distress, has some questionable lyrics. The more ancillary characters are kind of all over the place. I mean, there's a dub from 1999, so it's decent enough. And the animation is, I think, a little subpar. If you compare it to things like Bubblegum Crisis, which came out the same year, or Cowboy Bebop, which I had covered before, which came out the year before, something like Cowboy Bebop looks a lot better than this does. However, the writing in this is extremely good, and also the music. But actually, this doesn't need a ton of visual flair. It gets through with having very strange stories that all have a bit of a twist to it. I also love the music here. Sounds like they're combining like a Miami Vice ethereal vibe with something from like the Goblins that Dario Argento used in movies like Suspiria.
Hey, didn't think anyone was here.
About me, haven't you?
So it has a warm wave to it, but is also intercut with some spookiness. Animation, a little below average. Writing, amazing. Voice acting, decent enough for 1999. I like the Count, but some of the other characters are not as good. So after this introduction of the detective character and the guy being taken out by the lion, we get the main meat of the story, which is a couple that comes into the pet shop being promised that they can get a rabbit that looks just like their daughter Alice, who died of a drug overdose. But there are conditions Count D gives to this couple. And this is an obvious influence from something like Gremlins, where Gremlins, you can't feed them after midnight. Alice, you can't feed her anything except for vegetable and water. And this actually makes complete sense. In fact, the amount of thought that they put into this episode towards the end is really amazing. I had a rabbit growing up, and it's true. They really, really like vegetables. However, I found that their favorite thing is actually celery, not carrots. They're like really gnawing on it. But yeah, of course, you'd have to be an idiot to feed a rabbit something like chocolate cookies, right? Of course, in this case, Alice can actually talk and begins requesting to her parents for her to get something besides vegetables. And like her parents did before, when she was a drug addict, they give in to her again. See the parallels? They gave in to her when she was a drug addict and gave her what she wanted. And now when she's this rabbit, they give her whatever she wants. Is D trying to teach them a lesson? Kind of. But he's also kind of a dick too. I mean, he knows this is going to go wrong and some people are going to be killed. Maybe you should just not have this pet shop before us. Maybe you should just get rid of this pet shop. It's helping nobody.
I see. Contract broken.
Alice, listen to me, sweetie. That's enough, sweetie. That's enough for today. Too much of those and you'll make yourself sick.
Are you all right?
Alice, honey, what's wrong with you? Please stop it.
Why didn't you listen? I told you not to give her anything else to eat.
You said one bite wouldn't hurt her.
So most people think the character name of Alice is a reference to Alice in the Wonderland and her following the White Rabbit. However, I'm not most people. It actually reminded me of the character in the PlayStation game Bloody Roar 2. That's name was also Alice, and who could morph into a rabbit.
Alice the rabbit, Jenny the bat.
But we still haven't seen any rabbits up until this point. She just looks like a normal girl who's very, very hungry. Hangry, you might say. And then we get something that's straight out of Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Madame, may I ask you why you broke your promise and fed her food you never should have?
Why? Why? Because she begged me for it, that's why. She cried, begging me. I had to help her.
That love and compassion is exactly how you killed your real daughter Alice, isn't it?
What?
Ever since she was a little girl, you spoiled her. You gave her anything and everything she wanted. You never even thought of scolding her when she did wrong. And so she grew up, if you can call it that, withdrawing from her family, withdrawing from society, repeatedly committing crimes to support her addiction to drugs, repeatedly hurting herself and others.
I really need it. I need it.
Just this once. Just this once.
Mrs. Hayward, these rabbits are born by tearing their mother's womb with their teeth. In other words, the mother feeds her own flesh and blood to her babies.
And the allegories keep coming. Not only for the mother giving her daughter everything she wants, but also the birth of the rabbits themselves through Alice's stomach. And there's even one that I don't exactly get, where before they turn into rabbits, they start off as creepy babies. So maybe they go from babies to rabbits. She gives birth to the babies that turn into rabbits. Something like that. What could just be a simple horror series is trying to make several points at once and really make you think. But at the end of the day, this Count D guy is still the villain. He knew this was going to happen. And the father has already been killed at this point, and it looks like the mother is about to be killed too. But luckily, the poison from the cookies and the sugar takes effect at the rabbits and they die off before they're able to completely consume the mother. So I think it was a good choice to let her live. While this could serve as some type of lesson that Count D is trying to teach her, at this point the father's been killed by the rabbits and the mother's been gravely injured. The story is quite similar to the original manga that it's based on. However, in that one, the rabbits, once they burst out of Alice's stomach, they start taking over the entire city. We get a Night of the Living Dead scenario, though it ends in the same way where the rabbits get poisoned by the cookies that they ate before and eventually die off. And this probably would have been just too much work to animate. The Pet Shop of Horrors is an OVA, so technically their budget is bigger than a TV series. As I mentioned before, the animation here is pretty rudimentary. So if this is an actual movie, then yeah, show me the apocalyptic rabbits taking over and killing everyone. But I can understand why they left that part out. Also, as we'll see in the next episode, everybody would fail these tests, because it's not just don't feed them anything besides vegetables. The next episode, a guy gets a mermaid, and he has to feed it whenever it's hungry. Well, that's kind of up in the air. How do you possibly feed someone 100% right on time whenever they're hungry? You're never going to succeed at that. There's going to be points where you don't feed it when it's hungry. So, Count D, I'm on to you. But a really well-written story. And the fact that the rabbits keep evolving. So many series are okay with doing just one monster. We'll just do a killer rabbit. But no. Here you get a girl posing as a rabbit, who then gives birth to these creepy little infants, who then kind of turn into rabbits, who then act docile, who then start attacking, and then die off. I mean, it just keeps building and building and building. That's all for episode 1. Next up is episode 2, called Delicious, where a guy falls in love with a mermaid. Even though this series is a takeoff on Little Shop of Horrors, typically these pets can also take the form of humans. Stay tuned next week for that one. And check out our playlist for all episodes of Fear Itself, which is finished, Monsters, which is finished, Tales from the Dark Side, which we're halfway through, Black Mirror, and Pet Shop of Horrors. Thanks a lot.